Hello, friends. Welcome to yet another episode of Tea Talk with Owen. My name is Owen Fernandez, and I wish you all a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. Here, the summer is almost over in Europe, with temperatures just falling between 21 and 24. So, the best of summer, I believe, is behind us. But anyway, today is the 26th of August, 2021. Welcome again. Our topic for today is how to handle stress. So let me come into the focus. Okay, how to handle stress. Now, I'm sure almost all of us, especially in a time like this, know the word stress. Now, when I do speak to my mother, who is based in Oman, she calls this word stress as stress. Okay, now while I make fun of her, but actually, in fact, I believe I shouldn't, because if you look at the word trest in Slovak, it's some sort of punishment, which I believe stress also involves some sort of punishment. So, friends, daily we deal with a lot of stress, isn't it? I do not know if anybody that you know or who's on the call who would come and says, "Hey, Owen, there is nothing called stress. I don't have stress at all. I'm a cool person." Well, life will bring in some kind of stress at some point of time. Now, what am I here to say here is that it can be either of of we as human being busy or overwhelmed at work or outside work. When we try to handle so many things, when we try to multitask, knowing the fact that we have got only 24 hours a day, handling financial issues, relationship issues, health issues, family issues, it could be overwhelming. Now, stress is something that even if we would like to avoid, it's difficult. It's as though it's that stress, we attract stress, or stress trying to attract us. But the good part of it is that it can be handled. It all depends on the way we respond to it, and that makes a big difference. Now, while it seems that there is nothing you can do about stress at work or at home, you have a lot more control than you might think at first glimpse. So there are steps that you can take to relieve the pressure and regain control. And this is exactly what I have done, or I have tried to bring to you a few steps, maybe simple 8 tips. Now, why 8? Why not 4? Why not 5? Why not 10? I believe my intention here is to help you at least connect with two or three, and I'm confident that out of the 8 steps that I'm going to show you, you will at least remember, say, for example, 2, 3. And that itself, friends, is a great start. So grab a cup of tea or coffee as usual, take a comfortable seat and relax. You can't watch an episode that talks about how to handle stress, being stressed yourself. So grab a cup of tea or coffee, take a seat, okay, as we go deeper into this topic, how to handle stress. Now, for those who are on the call for the very first time, you will see that we are already on episode 34, which means to say that 33 episodes have already been completed. And for your information, all these 33 episodes are on my personal YouTube channel, Owen Fernandez. Please go to my YouTube channel and check out if some topics connect with you, or there could be some topics that you would like to share with your friends or your families or your relatives. And just in case, if you do like it, okay, please like and subscribe it as well. Okay, so let's get going. August 26th, episode 34, how to handle stress. I see two friends of mine, Peter and Titus, on the line. Welcome, Peter and Titus. So let's start. Now, is it possible to define stress in a very simple way? Now you can see stress from daily living point of view. You can see stress from situational point of view. You can see stress from an emotional point of view, and you can also see stress from a medical point of view. Now, I know that you can come and arrive at this particular topic from various angles, but the whole aspect of me showing up every Tuesday and Thursday is to talk about life in general and make it as simple as possible. Stress is simply the body's response to changes that create taxing demands or changes that challenge us. Now, now, friends, most of us consider it as something that will always follow us as we live, and there are no ways going around it. And it is for this reason that today, if you see, the task for mental health professionals now has become to further our understanding to improve something called management of stress to patients, and in some cases to management people, to employees, and the rest. So stress management has become an integral part of management workshops and sessions. So, simply put, stress is the body's response to changes that create challenges or taxing demands. Now, I would like you to have a look at some research done in 2020, that is last year, by the American Psychological Association within the US. Now, it basically puts focus on the impact stress has done into the lives of millions of people, not only in America, but all across the globe. The research says that nearly 8 in 10, that is almost 78%, say that the coronavirus pandemic is a significant source of stress in their life. 78%. Nearly 7 in 10, 67% say that they've experienced increased stress over the course of the pandemic. Now, is the pandemic the only cause of stress? I believe no. It all depends on how you see it. So even if you take, a common view from various studies, nearly 2 in 3 adults, 65%, say that the current amount of uncertainty caused by COVID pandemic causes them stress. Nearly 2 in 3. Some research studies also talk about 33% of people report feeling extremely stressful. 77% of people experience stress that affects their physical health. 73% of people have stress that impacts their mental health. 48% of people have trouble sleeping because of stress. Now, I'm sure many of us would relate to this word called stress. So if you have got anything to share, there is a chat box. Just go there, let me know from where you are watching from, and feel free to interact while I talk on this subject. So I also see a very good friend, a very loyal friend, and even my business partner, Winnie Benjamin in New York. Wonderful. Welcome, Winnie. So, so as usual, I like to start with the quote, and this time it's from Denze Pace. It goes like this: stress is the trash of modern life. Wow. When I was trying to find out a statement that is related to this topic, I found this very, very true. Stress is the trash of modern life. We all generate it. But if you don't dispose of it properly, it will pile up and overtake your life. Wow. Trash of modern life. If it piles up, it might hurt you. It might create physical and mental issues and could possibly overtake your life. Friends, stress can be short term or long term. However, stress has some very strong effects, not only to our mental health, but can affect our physical health too. I've been there, and good that I came out of it. There are two simple ways to cope with stress. Number one, you can move away from the situation totally that causes stress. And the second is to change the way you respond to the situation. Now, stretch management courses of which I have been a part of talk about the same thing, mentioning the 4 A's: avoid, alter, adjust, and accept. And I'll just touch on it superficially towards the end of this talk. So, what kinds and types of stress does or do people suffer from or are subjected to? Now, while there are medical definitions, as I said before, there are two types of stress, and this is not from a medical point of view. From a medical point of view, you could find three, four, five types of stress with its own characteristic symptoms, which is beyond the scope of this talk. So I hope you understand when I'm saying that there are various kinds of stress from the medical point of view, but for the sake of simplicity, okay, now from the medical point of view, you will hear the term chronic stress, episodic acute stress, high acute stresses, and so on and so forth. Now, these are various disorders and not diseases. Now, there is a big difference between disorder and diseases. Now, for simple understanding, I say there are two types of stress, and one of them looks and sounds positive. It's called positive stress, eustress. It is also called as good stress. It's a type of stress response that we feel when we get excited. Friends, positive stress can also refer to times you respond well to a particular challenge. It may not necessarily be that you have to look at stress negatively, though it forms a major subject of talk in most of the situations somebody finds it. But sometimes you can respond well to a challenge that brings out the best in you, or that you experience from a stressor. Now, there are certain examples that I could say about positive stress. For example, if you're starting a new job, yes, there is some sort of an anxiety, some sort of a stress, but it's something good because you're starting something new. What about marriage or a fresh new relationship? What about buying a home? What about having your first child, or for that matter, any child? What about moving from one city to the other? What about taking a vacation to a place that you have never been before? That also causes a stress. Am I right? Now, there is a second type of stress, and we'll focus on this because anything good is always welcome. Now, this is a negative stress which is called distress. So, you have to de stress the distress. Now, stress becomes negative or distress when a person faces continuous challenges without relief or relaxation between these challenges, a continuous barrage of challenging situations. As a result, the person becomes overworked and stress related tension builds up. Now, let me give you some examples out here. If a couple is having problems in relationship or partnership, divorce, or if a child or an adult knows that there is a great punishment going to come his or her way, or what about traumatic situations involving injury? What about depression and negative feelings? What about financial problems? Now, I've heard so many stories of people being laid off, furlonged. They do not know where their meals are going to come. Apart from the fact that there is rent to pay, electricity bills, and expenses, and education, and all sorts of things. These are all stress, creating distress. What about challenges at workplace? Sexual harassment, work difficulties, and so on and so forth. So there are two types of stress: positive stress, eustress, which is welcome, that brings out the best in you, and negative stress, which is called distress. Now, how do you know? How do you detect stress? Does it show signs externally and internally? Yes, of course. Now, physical signs that you are stressed. Have a look at this. Do you feel tired most of the time? Are you frequently sick? Do you have digestive problems? Do you suffer from prolonged headaches? Are you challenged in having a good, peaceful sleep? What about dizziness? Check these things. Is there something that you can relate to? And if yes, just go ahead in the chat box and say, yes, I have been there, and I know that it was because of stress. What about low levels of energy all the time, feeling, like even in the morning, you feel tired? Well, these are physical signs that you are stressed. What about psychological signs that you are stressed? Check if you can relate to any of these, friends. Mood is absolutely on the lower side. What about you get angry and you have got temper outbursts? What about panic attacks of something that has not even taken place? What about negative thinking that something worse could happen your way? Okay, what about forgetfulness? Now I know about forgetfulness a lot. I've lost around 4 to 5 mobiles. Okay, a lack of concentration. And what about distorted speech, when the right words do not even come into your mouth? Okay, when you know that you are capable of speaking. Friends, can you relate to any of these? And if so, check whether you are actually suffering from stress. Titus says addictions to high-tech smartphones, laptops, use of wireless earphones. Yes, that could also be a cause of stress. Or stress of a child with so much of school homework and things to do. Yes, that could also create stress. So we talked about the physical signs of stress, we talked about the psychological signs of stress. What about the emotional signs of stress? Can you relate to any of these things? Relationship problems and you're not able to discuss it with your partner? What about anxiety, fear of the unknown, depression, irritability, getting just blowing off your fuse at small things in life? What about helplessness, losing hope? Now I know there are some people who don't care a damn about the word stress, and they believe that stress is a part of their daily existence, and they just go about it thinking that it is their destiny, thinking that they have been dealt a wrong pack of a wrong set of cards. But at the same time, I have seen that these people suddenly wake up only when stress causes them harm physically, or they have no other option than to go for medical treatments. And if life is not very good to them, some of them die early because of stress. So, the question concerning this episode is how to handle stress and, of course, lead a happy, successful, fulfilled, and satisfying life. Now, friends, we now know that holding on to stressful situations leads to a lot of physical, psychological, and emotional problems. I've just mentioned so many of them. But it is in our hands, and we do have the choice to let go of these stressors and choose to live life well. So, as I said, I'm going to share 8 simple methods and see if you could relate to at least a few of them. So, the following strategies helps to beat stress with ease. The first one, identify the stressor. Find out the root cause that causes you stress. Friends, the first and the most important step in coping with stress is to identify and learn to change your response to it. See, most people will say that you can either fight it or flee from it. But then what happens if it just comes recurring? And I know that for most of us, identifying is not as straightforward as it sounds. Now, while it is easy to identify major stressors such as changing jobs, moving, or going through a divorce, pinpointing the sources of chronic stress that comes over and over again, repeated in cycles, it could be daily, it could be weekly, it could be monthly, can be more complicated. It's all too easy to overlook how our own thoughts, our own feelings, and our own behaviors contribute to our everyday stress levels. Why? We don't consider our reaction. We don't look within. We only try to look at circumstances. Sometimes stress could be a negative response that is coming out. It could be something related to your past or something that you are not able to comprehend. So, how will you identify the stressors? reflect what causes it, introspect, and sometimes discussion could also help. So if you've got any comments, let me know. Now, Winnie says multitasking over a period of time can destroy neurons in the brain. So very true. Especially doing work that is not in your field of giftedness. Yes, it's very true. If your personality and your functionality, who you are and what you do, is not aligned, definitely you're going to go through stressful situations. And that itself is a signal that you need to know and you need to identify the stressors. Thank you, Winnie, very much. Now, the second tip that I would like you to consider is listen to music. Now, this is not going to cost you much. Friends, this is what I know: music heals. Now, why am I saying this? Research has found out that music has a very great impact on letting go of stress. Listening to your favorite music helps produce dopamine, which is associated with changing mood. It's a mood enhancer hormone. So why don't you try listening to music? Say, for example, when traveling back from a hectic days of work, or taking some time out and just relax. Music is a healer. Tip number 3, and again, it would not cost you a dime. Take deep breaths. Now, this helps us in calming down. Now, a very easy way to do this is to sit in a comfortable position as possible and try to breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Now, as you breathe in deeply, make sure that the breath is so deep, it's from the abdomen rather than just taking shallow breaths from the upper chest. Now, when you do this, friends, you inhale more oxygen. And this in turn leads to less tension and less shortness of breath. And these changes lessen or lower the anxiety that you feel. Now, sometimes we don't even pay attention to these small, subtle things that we can do to handle stress. So, take or learn to take deep breaths. Number 4, and this is also free: connect with nature. Listening to music, taking a deep breath, reflection doesn't cost you a dime. Connect with nature. Spending time in nature not only helps you to let go of stress, but also lessens your anxiety levels. Why don't you take a short walk or just do some outdoor stretching and exercises? This will not only help you to feel better physically, but will also increase your emotional well being by reducing the production of stress hormones. Connect with nature. Go for a walk in the park. Go for a stroll. Now, connecting with nature, you need to make a little effort. And if you're living in a crowded city, okay, you need to make sure that you need to set aside some time to connect with nature. Number 5, laughter, they say, is the best medicine for most of our concern. It not only helps us to feel good, but also changes our perspective and way of thinking. It tends to make us have a more optimistic outlook through difficult situations, to difficult disappointment, and even sometimes in losses. Humor is the essence of life. Friends, I do not know to whom I'm talking. Look out for some fun, some frolic. Make sure that you have enough laughter in your life. It's in fact it's a reflection of joy, cheer. Laughing improves our moods, builds resilience, and relieves stress, and therefore lowers anxiety level. Again, I repeat, humor is the essence of life. All good things surround it. Learn to laugh. Number 6, and this is for many of us. Even though we think that this is not stress, procrastinating, delaying things that you could do yesterday. Vinny says, learn to ask for help, delegate work to competent friends or others. Very true. Stop procrastinating. Now, procrastinating, friends, builds up stress, and this negatively affects your body and sleep. Now, one best way that has worked for me to avoid procrastination is to make a to do list. Anticipate the activities of the day. Yes, of course, there could be surprises, it's fine. But you cannot live in a constant state of surprise. That itself is stressful. It is suggested that if you spend 20 to 30 minutes and make a list of what exactly you would like to do based on your priority, it helps, because it's both a time management as well as an energy management activity. Now this helps you to be more realistic and helps in completing most of the task daily. Stop procrastinating. Don't keep things pending to do things at the last moment. Now, as a teacher, I know many of my students, they give up submissions and assignments late in the night, just a few minutes before the deadline. And though the assignments were given 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time. Stop procrastinating. Number 7, practice a hobby. Now, this is something that you could relate to if you're having a hobby, or this is something that you could start a new hobby just to get distracted from stressful lives that we live. Take time every day to relax and do something that de stresses you. As I said, distress needs to be de stressed. You can start this by either continuing any existing hobby that you have or try something new. Add a little bit of spice to your life. Try gardening, try cooking, try painting, try playing a musical instrument. You don't have to be perfect. Try singing or anything that soothes your mood and takes you away from the situation or the stressor that creates stress in the first place. And finally, friends, this is something new and I would like to share. It's called guided imagery. When you know that things are not working, you know that you are not in control, when you know that there are certain things that stresses you, use guided imagery. Now, this works wonders for those who are highly visual. Now, I'm basically talking from a psychometric point of view. Okay, there are people who are visual, there are people who like audio and kinesthetic. It's called VAK. Now, this works wonders for those who are highly visual and can create a mental image with colors and details. Let's take, for example, some of us can imagine a beach and see the clear blue water, hear the sounds of waves touching or kissing the shore, and feel the sand under your feet, and even the warmth of the sun on your face. Just imagine, or even just take yourself back into a place where you felt relaxed and felt good with no stress. Bring it back into your memory. Simply imagining these experiences can generate relaxation. When he says procrastination is usually a sign that the work to be done is one that is not on your passion list. Now that's very true. It all depends on how you see it. But there are certain mundane things in life that you have to show up, you have to do. You can't afford to procrastinate saying that this is not passionate. Okay, so you've got to also focus on the essential things, the non-essential things, the important things, the urgent things, and the not so important things. So I've given you 8 short, simple tips. Identify the stressor, listen to some music, learn to take deep breaths, okay, connect with nature, focus on laughing, cheerful moods, joyful, be humorous, or add humor to your life. Stop procrastinating. It is a state of mind. I agree with Vinny. Okay, practice a hobby or follow guided imagery. Now, coming back to the 4 A's, the avoid, alter, adapt, and accept. Try avoiding unnecessary stress. Now, I know there are times that you simply cannot avoid. What do you do? Alter the situation. If you can't avoid a stressful situation, try to alter it. Now, often this involves changing the way you communicate, changing the way you operate in your daily life. Now, if you cannot avoid, which I say you shouldn't avoid, You should face stress and find out the causes and eliminate it if it's possible. Now, even if you cannot alter the situation, all you have got left is adapt and accept. If you can't change the stressor, change yourself. If you can adapt to stressful situations and regain some sense of control, it's good. And of course, there are certain things, friends, that you just need to accept. Accept the things that you can't change. Now, some sources of stress are unavoidable. Like, for example, if there is a death of a loved one, you can't prevent, or a serious illness or a terminal illness, or say, for example, a natural or national disaster, some sort of a recession. In such cases, the best way to cope with stress is to accept it as they are. Why? Because you cannot control, and then adapt or adopt. Now, acceptance may be difficult, but in the long run, it is easier than fighting against a situation that you can't change. Now, having said that, of course, you always have a choice, and your choice is based on your level of awareness. So think about it: avoid, alter, adapt, or accept. Now, in closing, I have this to share: a quote from Epictetus. He says, "People are disturbed not by a thing, but by their perceptions of a thing." Wow. Think about it. Face it, flee. No, face it. Face it with renewed awareness. Identify the stressor. Choose what you can control. Choose either avoid, alter, adapt, or accept. And this thing called stress needs to be addressed. I don't believe in anything called avoiding when you know that it is going to be a part and parcel of your life going ahead, especially in the world that we live in. So, friends, check how you see stress, knowing that as you live your life, at some point of time, you will handle this. So, thanks for watching. Remember, the win is always within you. I'm here to help you be victorious. I believe in you, and I believe you can. And if you can't, together we can. Feel free to use all the resources I've set up references at the end of this video. And if you like this video, please comment and share. Also, you could go to my YouTube channel, as I said before, and subscribe to it. There you will find this video and many other videos. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, be well. See you on the next episode of Tea Time with Owen. Bye for now.